today we are here to worship Christ as he was resurrected from dead. There are lots of theories about his death, but actually he resurrected himself and then he went down to India and settled there with his mother. The after period of his resurrection is not described in any books as such, but in one of the Puranas written about Shalivahana, one of the kings of dynasty I belong to, has met Christ in Kashmir. And he asked him, "What's your name?" He said, "My name is Isa." And then he asked him also that from which country you come, which place. He said, "I come from a country which is foreign to you and to me. And now I am here in my own country." That's how he appreciated, I think, the Indian thing. And then he used to cure people there. And his tomb is there, and his mother's tomb also is there. So there are other stories also created by people who did not know much about him. But whatever it is, what you find that Christ was very much impressed and was very much there to teach about morality as in the Indian scriptures, very strongly. For him, morality was the most important thing in life. Because as you know, he was the incarnation of Sri Ganesha. So for him, Ganesha's principle was extremely important, and that he has expressed by saying that in the 10 Commandments it is said that thou shalt not commit adultery. But I verily say to you, thou shalt not have adulterous eyes, to such an extent that even the eyes should not be adulterous. It's a very good understanding of a personality where we find in the modern times most of them have their attention moving up and down with adultery. Also in one of the Upanishads I read that even to look at a woman is adultery. Even to think of a woman is adultery, and talk to women too much is also adultery. These modern times I have seen there are women who are used as public relations everywhere, in every country. And they just go and chit-chat and talk to people in position and talk in such a manner that they feel very much pampered. And one of the ways of getting favors, wrong favors, from officers is through this kind of PR business. It's very common. And this is what is responsible also partly for the corruption in many countries. Morality goes hand in hand with all kinds of violence. Anybody who is a violent person, a person who is in the mafia, a person who is regarded as an outcast, all of them are adulterous people of the worst type. So one has to understand how important it is that morality should be our basic asset in Sahaja. Especially, I would say, we are so lucky today that it should be celebrated in the land of Sri Ganesha. That we should be here to celebrate his resurrection, which actually is due to his clean, we can say absolutely nishkalank life. Life which was so pure. His purity was there because he was nothing but Chaitanya. He was nothing but vibrations. He was so pure that he could even walk on the water. He was so pure that death could not kill him. So we have to aim at our purification. We talk of resurrection when we think of getting a second birth. As I have told you before, that an egg becomes a bird, that's called a dvijaha, is twice born. In the same way, we who are covered with our ego and our conditionings opens out to become a bird. And that's how we all have come to know about the Brahma, about this all-pervading power, which is the Brahma. And that's how we have now really become the Dvijaha, meaning the Brahmins. Those who have not known the Brahma, without that, what is the use of any worship or any kind of chantings or anything? Because you are not connected. And if you are not connected, it has no meaning. But we have to look at ourselves about purity part of it. On a very low level of people, you see, I have seen that the impurity comes from what Christ has called as murmuring souls. These are the people who start talking at the back of others and just enjoy this kind of talk. This is a very low type of a personality. I think in Sahaja Yoga, this should go away completely because it creates problems and the main basic strength of Sahaja Yoga, which is collectivity, is harmed by them. Especially in this respect, I would request the women, especially the wives of the leaders, have a great responsibility. If they start talking like that, taking interest in such talks, then they come down to the level of others and their motherhood is challenged. Any mother who allows the children to talk like that is really spoiling the entire life of her children. Anybody who talks ill of anybody in Sahaja Yoga is really extremely dangerous for both of them, but especially for the person who does it. So one should always avoid even thinking ill of others, let alone the talking of it. If anybody talks like that, you should put your hands to your ears and say, don't tell me, I don't want to hear anything against anyone. Because when we start talking against someone, we get all the bad things that person has. Apart from that, our mind is spoiled, is impurity in your mind. Then you talk to others, it increases and it becomes worse. So it's the responsibility of the women to be very much careful, because this kind of thing is more with the women because they are little excluded. They have exclusive friends and they have exclusive life. They are different type than men are. Men, if they have to get angry with someone or if they want to say something, they'll just go and have a fight and finish with it. But women will keep it in their mind and will say something. And it's such a bad thing to start. It's just like a worm, it moves and is very infectious. So all of you must remember that this is the first thing you must avoid, is to listen against anyone, talk against anyone, have small talks. I have said the same thing in Perth because last time when I came, I found horrible things were done against people. Now again I tell you this, because we are at a point where we have to understand that morality is not only about what is the sex is, but is much more than that, much wider than that. So because we want to have our purification, let us have introspection within ourselves. People ask me, how did you manage so well in Russia? And there's one thing about Russians very great, that they are very introspective. If you read any novel of a Russian writer, you'll be surprised to see that all of them are introspective. All the characters are introspective. They want to see why I do it. For example, somebody is lazy. He doesn't work. He dedicates his time in reading or something else, but he cannot put his physical body to any strain. Then he introspects. Why? Why am I so lazy? Why can't I do something more active? Then somebody who is always sort of difficult and angry type, that people don't like him. Then instead of getting angry with others, he has to see himself, within himself, why am I not liked? Why people don't care for me? What do I have within me that is making me so miserable? So you'll see that you are either conditioned or you have a funny ego, which is coming up and is making you do wrong things which you should not do. That's one of the purifications you can have of your mind when you start introspecting yourself. Now, as the culture is, I find, is not very much for the benevolence of human beings. It is, you don't know what people are up to, what they can do, how far they can go. Nothing is possible. I've seen in some of the marriages we had very shocking things that the men or women never told me, and they had horrible diseases. And they just put me into trouble. There are many others who have done this kind of thing. So first thing, you must know that you cannot be a hypocrite in Sahaja Yoga. If you are a hypocrite, if you do not sincerely believe in Sahaja Yoga, fully engrossed yourself, you do not purify yourself and jump into yourself, then you will be exposed very soon and you will be thrown away from Sahaja Yoga. No doubt about it. I will not throw. I will forgive. But as I have told you, there are two forces working in Sahaja Yoga. One is centrifugal and another centripetal. By centripetal force you will be attracted, but by centrifugal force you will be thrown out. So one has to be very, very careful, because whatever you have got is something really remarkably, surprisingly, so heavenly and so easily. Actually, I am surprised at myself how I have achieved all these things. But it has been achieved because, as I told you, that the all-pervading power itself has taken a dynamic role. It is acting because it is now we are in Kruta Yuga. This Kruta Yuga comes when there is a gap between from one Yuga to another Yuga. Like we had Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga has to go to Satya Yuga, in between there's Kruta Yuga, when this acts and evolutionary process have taken place at that time. So now the last evolution has started, and again this all-pervading power has become very dynamic. That's how you get all my photographs and you get all these things. And you are also getting, people realized, you yourself, you are surprised at the miracles you have. Everybody can tell you hundreds of miracles. So these miracles also are worked out by this all-pervading power. At this juncture, when we have all these possibilities, if we try to be hypocritical, we are harming ourselves. If we try to criticize others and not ourselves, then we are going to miss the bus. You must understand the importance of time. That is something people miss out. Sahaja Yoga is very good because you are blessed and you feel that you are secured, things are very good, you get so many brothers and sisters, and I see your faces just like roses shining. All that is good.